Hey again, everyone. Thank you for joining me. It's pretty rare that I make two videos in a day or even a week, as I try to keep them on Saturday because I want to keep what I say fresh and interesting. I don't want to just get on here and blather on. A lot of people are out there making a lot of content, so if you're with me, it is much appreciated. Smokey Bear asked a question, asked me to elaborate on something, and I thought that this deserves an elaboration in video form because there's so much to tell. You're asking about the fella that was hanging around the ex-narcopath, and I have quite a bit to tell you about that, actually. He showed up on the scene very early when I decided that I wasn't going to put up with that kind of behavior any longer, and things disintegrate very quickly with the narcopath when they realize that you're not going to be good supply. Remember, they have supply waiting in the wings all the time. The the narcopath has they need to keep their supply going because eventually, if you do find out, they're going to have to replace it and replace you quickly. So this fellow was hanging around for quite a while. On that note, let me just interject something here too. The narcopaths love to use all the things against you that they can. We know that, but one of them that they really like to use is jealousy too. And jealousy, or the protection of a loved one or the protection of a family, is something that's hardwired into us. It's been with us since the dawn of time. And ladies, I'm not picking on you, especially if you're on this channel. I know that it's happened to you as well. But it seems that the female persuasion will use that function against a man in a heartbeat. So it's very dangerous. And when you see a lot of and I'm not advocating domestic violence, but when you see a lot of domestic violence, you have to wonder: is someone pushing someone's buttons? Because here's kind of a caveat, a short story inside the story. We lived in a cul-de-sac in a pretty nice upscale neighborhood, and occasionally folks would be standing out there with the kids riding their bikes, and the parents would have their glass of wine or whatnot. The ex-narcopath would make a point to stand just a little bit closer to one of the neighbors than me. And at the time it made me uncomfortable, but I didn't know that at the time she was doing it on purpose, doing these little things on purpose, these microaggressions, if that's a term that people have been using for a little while now. But she would do that just to see if she could get under my skin, and it did. The other way is the reverse way, is to make sure to always praise and say kind things about everyone around you but you. And that's another effective way to run someone down continually in that continuous daily insult it is being around a narcopath. Anyway, so this fella showed up fairly quickly on the scene, and another, I have to revert kind of back because a lot of this is putting two and two together. Uh, she came home from her part-time job one time, and she said that she had reconnected with an old friend from junior high school, and this is crazy. This, I didn't pay attention to this stuff at the time. She said that if they had a pact that if they were married and they reconnected later on in life, that they would kill their spouses and reconnect and run off. And I thought that this was just a story, but he had been around for the last several years now, I know, before the nasty divorce that the narcopath drugged me through. So anyway, I mean, there's 100 ways to do it. It doesn't have to always be. I mean, it's a kick in the teeth anyway, but it doesn't have to be like total destruction, scorched earth. Remember, narcopath does not use family court to hash out family problems. They use it as a punishment to destroy, a punishment and to destroy. So this fellow's around. Literally the first week that he's hanging around, I see him driving her mother's car, so I know that she's in on it, he's in on it, the ex-narcopath is in on it. Before this, when I had been poisoned, I'm certain that he had been around in this time, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't have 100% proof of what they were thinking, but I have 100% proof that it's wrong because I did the DNA test. that I think that he thought that one of our kids was his, and at the end he turned up the heat on her to get rid of me. And eventually, this guy, at the end of our divorce escapades, this fella in his late 30s, who seemed somewhat healthy to me, he croaked. He kicked the bucket. He died mysteriously of something that they called pneumonia or whatever. So anyway, when I found out that he had died, I'm pretty sure that they had something to do with this. So anyway, he was hanging around, this dead guy. Dead guy now. So this guy is hanging. That's what you get for hanging. You know what? Look, here's the deal. If the narcopath is going to cheat with you on their family, they're going to cheat on you too. It's not like, oh, they're just going to rearrange their whole world just for you. That's not how it happens. It's already enough. I don't care what adults do, and people have weird arrangements or, things that I wouldn't acquiesce to. But if you have children, you have other lives that you brought into this world, you don't cheat. You have a really big obligation. A lot of people, narcissists and not narcissists alike, don't understand that concept today. But anyway, and if you are messing around with someone's wife or husband for that matter, and they have kids, man, you are really looking for some bad karma. Cause and effect is very, very real, and it never takes a day off, does it, Richard? I'm so sorry. Anyhow, so this guy was hanging around, and I finally figured out why the back door was unlocked mysteriously certain times of the day. And one time I had been at a friend's lake house, and it was on a Sunday morning, and I'll never forget. I just got that feeling, and I need to go home. And I drove home early on a Sunday morning, 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m., early for a Sunday. And fortunately, I called just a couple of minutes before I got there. I called her. And when I arrived, she was rearranging pillows on the couch in full makeup and fully clothed like you would go to a club or whatnot. And the back door was unlocked again, and our kids were nowhere to be found. So I'm actually glad that I did call, because if I had just gone ahead and opened up the door and seen that guy in my house, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you today, if you know what I mean. So anyway, yeah, this guy, yeah, she enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. When I first saw this guy, this fella, I was dropping off one of our kids at her new abode in a kind of a dicey part of town, and she timed it just perfect. So I pulled up with the kid when he was getting out of the car that I bought, out of the driver's side. I'm sorry, the passenger side of the car that I had bought, and you could just see the smirk, the smile on her face. It just really pleased her. It was a joyful moment to see. I mean, it worked. I mean, I'm going to tell you, it worked. It was devastating to see that. Again, not just for me. You got these other people in the world that you've brought into the world. You have to take responsibility. You got to grow up. And a narcopath will never grow up. They just see it as more supply, more pawns, more things that they can move around. And it's really sad. It really is what the narcopath does to the people around him. But yeah, to answer your question, that fella, he was around for quite a while. I noticed that at one point in time she was losing a lot of weight very quickly. I assumed that she and he were probably partaking of substances a lot of times. These housewives and part-time jobbers will engage in substances that they shouldn't be. So I'm thinking that was part of what they were doing at the time, and it contributed to the final demise of the family unit, which at the end, now I understand, was actually the biggest blessing of my life, and I've been able to put a lot of things back together. But yeah, that guy's dead. That guy's deader than a doornail, and cause and effect is very, very real, and it never takes a day off. I'm going to leave you all with one little thing before I go. It's a belief of mine. The clearer that you get, the closer you are to spirit that you get. Whatever your belief system is fine. Use whichever one, okay? I think this is across the board, with the exception of goofy stuff. But The closer you get to spirit, the closer you get to your creator, the belief system that you hold, the more likely if someone is to harm you that's going to come right back to them. I have uh, how do I put this? I believe that even though I think the ex-narcopath and her mother off that guy, I'm sure they had something to do with it. It still had something to do with his cause and effect and karma. I believe in that 100%. So anyway, all right. Look, I hope that answers your question. That's a really juicy one, isn't it? And I said that I was going to expose them a little at a time. It has to be the right time when I feel like I can chat about this. It was a rough, rough couple of decades, and even worse at the end. So anyway, all right. Well, I hope that answers your question. I hope that was interesting. That was an interesting one for me. And I'm going to sign off, and I hope to see y'all again real soon. Thanks.